Welcome back again. You're still watching us here on the Daily Debate. I'm very delighted to have joining me both guests here in the studio this evening, Mr. Nabil Zaki, a political analyst and journalist, and also Dr. Cherif AMIR, international relations from the University of Paris. Before we went out to this break, I was really interested to know from both you gentlemen about the two-state solution, which Hamas sees differently than the Palestinian legitimate authority of Fatah faction. And I'm very careful with the fact of calling Fatah as the Palestinian legitimate authority. So my question to you, Dr. Cherif, first, what does a two-state solution mean to these two factions?
There are two factions, as you said, and there are two different mentalities. And the problem is here, is that Ramallah is very nationalistic. They have the cause of the Palestinians, whether they are from the left, from the right, Christians, Muslims, everyone. Well, about Hamas, it's their constitution who says they are members of the Muslim Brotherhood. I'm not inventing it, it's from the constitution. And they have a new vision, and it was prepared before Egypt's revolution in 2013, and 13th of June, that they will open the borders and annex Sinai. We all know that the media talked about that.
So what does the two-state solution have to do here between the two factions?
The two-state solution now is being prepared as something for Israel, I'm talking for Israel, is to get rid for all the ethnic Arabic and ethnic non-Jewish elements from the state. I will refer to this. What took place as a law that was presented and agreed by the Knesset in Israel about the Jewishness of the state of Israel. Many people from they are called the Israeli Arabs. They went from 1948, who have this Israeli citizenship, went to the square of Ishaq Rabin in Tel Aviv and protested, and they said that means that we have no place in this country. So this was a kind of preparation that there was proposed to Jordan about the confederation with a Palestinian state. And it was a preparation.
A plan B option.
That, of course, that they say if it won't
actually, many analysts did actually link that to being part of the regulations of the century, of the deal of the century, what you just said.
The problem of the deal of the century is that, exactly as you said, but they added.
No, I didn't say it. You said it. I just confirmed that
exactly
it's the deal of the century.
No, I mean at the point that you said it was in between brackets. It's in there, but they added something which is not true. They said that Egypt agreed about that. We never agreed about these points. Nor our brothers in Jordan agreed about it.
Now, Mr. Nabil Zaki, let me put this in another sense. The two-state solution. Can you describe to me having the West Bank and the East Jerusalem, and West Jerusalem? Does that mean a two-state solution? Just dividing Jerusalem into two? Because according to the embassies and what really is active by Israel and under its control, we're talking about the west of Jerusalem, while the east of Jerusalem is more or less controlled by Israel, but still more flexible towards the Palestinian. Is this one of the emphasis of having a two-state solution?
What was infiltrated about this so-called deal of the century concerning Jerusalem and the West Bank is the following. First, more than 60% of the West Bank will go to Israel. All the settlements will continue as it is. Passages and, let us say, will be specialized only for the Israelis, not to permit Palestinians to go through. All the Jordan Valley will be under the control of Israel. If the Palestinians want a capital, they can take this Abu Dis in the village in the east side of eastern part of Jerusalem. That's what we could know till now from some American sources about the so-called deal of the century. It means really no Palestinian state, in fact. At the same time, Israel will keep its control from the military point of view from the security point of view on the whole land, Palestinian land.
All right. Now, let's go back again to the Egyptian-mediated efforts for reconciliation between both Palestinian factions, Hamas and Fatah. There were very interesting statements that were made by the Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov about how he is rather praising Egypt's stance and mediating effort role. These kind of statements coming from a country that we have seen experiences with successful, I'm not going to say support or mediating against other countries' interference on other countries' affairs, you know what I mean. So what does that mean for Russia to actually have this kind of comment concerning Egyptian mediating role? Before I talk about Russia wanting to take a mediating role, the statements itself for Mr. Lavrov.
It means something very important that many commentators didn't see, that that Russia believes in the multipolarized sources of power. It means they consider in several parts of the world there is centers of power. And they see Iran as a center, China as a center, Turkey and Egypt. So when they are interested in the Palestinian and Israeli conflict, their eye is always about Egypt. And the Russians play on that they cannot work. This is different from the Americans.
Yes,
the Americans,
that's specifically why I asked you how you see the statements, because if these kind of statements were coming from the United States, you would already understand what's lying between the lines. But for Russia, it's a bit different. Now, because we're already 2 minutes under time, Mr. Nabil, I want to finally ask you, how do you see the Russian statements? Would we be able to see a Russian mediation, co-mediating with Egypt, for the sake of the Palestinian cause?
They are reacting positively to the Palestinians. Why? The Palestinians said, now the United States of America took the side of Israel. They recognized Jerusalem as the capital of Israel and moved their embassy there. And now they are kicking away many Palestinians from the eastern part of Jerusalem to be refugees in Europe or in Latin America. Good. So, since that time, the Palestinians declared openly to the whole world that the United States of America now is not compatible to be
are we seeing
an
a Russian
honest broker.
Are we seeing a Russian role in the near future?
So, Russia took this initiative. We have good relations with the Palestinians and good relations with Israel at the same time. So we can play the role of a mediator. And they are calling the Palestinians and Israel to go to Moscow to negotiate.
Well, I would rather, because unfortunately our time is up, but I would like to actually correct, it's not good relations with Israel, it's more of mutual interests. All right, thank you very much, Mr. Nabil Zeki, political analyst and journalist. Very, very delighted to have you joining me in my show, sir. And Dr. Cherif AMIR, International Relations from the University of Paris. Thank you for joining me. And that brings us to the end of our episode of The Daily Debate. I'm Yasmin Beki signing off. Thank you for watching.